Welcome to New York's number two sports show. Rangers lose to the Hurricanes 3-1 in a Sunday matinee game at Madison Square Garden. Rangers scored early. Rangers scored 17 seconds in, a goal by Jimmy Vesey, who was in the lineup for a suspended Matt Rempe. We'll talk about that. 8-game suspension for Rempe after his elbow in the Dallas Stars game. But Rangers, had some life in the first maybe 5 to 10 minutes of the game. First period was, where it needed to be. Rangers were pretty clean defensively, but second period, Carolina completely took over and scored a couple of goals. They earned it, and it was a goal that occurred not too far after a Ranger penalty. Because again, the Hurricanes were hemming the Rangers in, and it led to the Rangers, having to take some penalties that period, and both of those penalties kind of ultimately did cost them, because then there was another penalty later that did a 4-minute power play. It was an Alexi Lafreniere high sticking on Jack Roslovic, and Roslovic's first game back to MSG since his brief stint with the Rangers in last year's playoff run. And then, of course, Roslovic, because of course, scores the goal, which is the winning goal. And the Hurricanes would eventually get an empty net goal later on. But yeah, the Rangers just they cannot gain any traction. It has been a long time since they've won two in a row, and it kind of coincides with this really long losing skid. I believe that the last time that they won two in a row was November 17th and 19th against the Kraken and then the Canucks. And then that Flames game began, again, this just the Rangers were 12-4-1 at that point, I believe. So then do the math since then, they're actually 4-12. And that makes sense. They're 16-16-1. They're hovering right at that 500 mark. And quite honestly, there's a decent chance that after tomorrow, they'll fall below it. As tomorrow is another afternoon game against the Devils, who are playing, really good hockey and are far superior to the Rangers, unfortunately. So I guess let's begin with Rempe. This is a thing. He's a repeat offender. Last time he got suspended was against the Devils. I believe it was a 4-game suspension for a hit on Jonas Siegenthaler. And so this was, a lot of his questionable hits are right along the boards. And he's got to learn. He just has to. I understand that he's a lot bigger. And I know this is going to sound crazy. I don't view Matt Rempe as necessarily a dirty player. It more has to do with the fact that he just needs to be in control of himself a little bit more. And hopefully this gets the message across. But I think obviously it's a very big suspension in terms of the length. So I think it's worth discussing. As far as Rempe, he does have a role that is somewhat interesting. I do think that him playing does seem to mostly lead to positives. At the same time, again, with these ejections and just the fact that, the coaching staff hasn't trusted him much, it's one of those things that when this 8-game suspension, is over, I don't know, if that means, I don't know what happens at that point as far as, well, okay, Rempe's just back in the lineup. Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised based on the way the Rangers are playing, but yeah, now he's going to be out for a while. He'll be, he had been in Hartford anyway, but after the Kako trade, they called him up, and he actually did draw 3 penalties. I mean, he really actually was playing pretty well, and then he ruined it for himself. So I can't defend Rempe. Could you argue that 8 games is excessive? Yes, you can. I think it's the fact that he has, again, been a repeat offender. He has been suspended twice before. And so I believe twice before, at least that one time. And I feel as if there may have been another suspension. That could be incorrect. But certainly he had that one last season. And yeah, so now he's going to be on the shelf. And so then let's lead us to the Carolina game. So Jimmy Vesey's in the lineup. And the fourth line, they were the best line in this game, most noticeable, and they scored a goal. So another game where for defense, Zach Jones was a healthy scratch. I don't think that he should be in this game tomorrow against the Devils. Who's the one that comes out? Well, I mean, it's really realistically going to be either Vakanen or Ruedel. I mean, it's between those two. But you know what? Those two didn't even really play that bad. Look, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I just think that Zach Jones, I'd rather him play just because he's a young player and I want to like evaluate him. Whereas like a guy like Ruedel, there's not much to see there. I understand that you're trying to win hockey games, but at the same time, Jones does give you a different element. And this Ranger team really desperately needs offensive punch badly. I mean, right now it's almost like um, that's the biggest issue, which is saying something because, like, I think the Rangers are not a very good defensive team just in general, but yet they're having a hard time scoring goals. And I think that Zach Jones at least gives you the ability on the back end for some creativity. So I think, I tend to think that it would probably be Ruedel that would be the one that would sit. The only reason why I bring up Vaakanainen is because of the handedness with Jones and Vaakanainen, but we'll see. But to me, it'd be fair to get Jones in there coming off of a loss. I understand that Ruedel, we'll talk about it. He actually had like a really nice assist and wasn't really necessarily bad in this game, but that's just the way that it goes. For the forwards, it was, kind of a 1-for-1 situation where VZ takes the spot of Rempe on that fourth line. And, that fourth line didn't play much, but when they did, they were noticeable because that's like the one line that doesn't mind, going to the areas of the ice you need to against Carolina to be effective. And again, what sucks too is the Hurricanes. It's just like the Rangers have fallen off. The Hurricanes, now look, give me the playoff series wins all day long, right? Like that is a source of pride. And, obviously that's kind of the name of the game here. But give Carolina credit for, and this is a little bit of a new look, not new look, but Carolina, they lost a lot of players and brought new players in. I mean, their core is still there for sure, but this is now Carolina winning 2 games, the Rangers none. And the Rangers played them close twice. It's not as if they got killed. We know the Rangers do tend to match up fairly well with the Hurricanes, but it's just a reminder of like the Hurricanes, they, year after year after year, are just a really good, fundamental, sound team with head coach Rod Brindamore at the helm. So, again, the Rangers just could not really get a whole lot going in this one. So, but early it was a good start. It was, and 17 seconds in, Jimmy Vesey, who's been a healthy scratch, quite a bit lately. He gets his third goal of the season from Ruedel and Edstrom. So, kind of a bad job by, I believe it was Dmitry Orlov, who kind of was caught, in between, and Vesey goes into the zone. Ruedel has a little bit of room, and Vesey just goes streaking to the net. And, it's a pretty easy goal. And Kochetkov was good for the Hurricanes. He wasn't amazing, but he made some pretty big saves. That one, nothing you can do there. Just kind of Hurricanes falling asleep early more than anything else. And the Rangers, I felt like, had some more opportunities to maybe increase the lead. I thought that, again, the start was the best part of the game for them, and then it quickly dissipated. But at 11:05, Tyson Jost trips Artemi Panarin, but the Ranger power play does not score. And in this game, the Ranger power play was 0 for 4. That's been a problem, a big, big problem, is the power play has been very ineffective. And there was a point where the second unit actually, which you don't see often, they got the first crack at it. Now, granted, a lot of the first unit guys had just went on the ice, so it could have been a little bit to do with that. But Adam Fox is playing a little bit more in the second unit with no Zach Jones, no Kendra Miller. And when he's not, it's Braden Steiner. So you're seeing a couple of different things almost by necessity, but it's not leading to anything good. So again, like the Rangers power play is so key to their success, and it's been pretty shitty. So the Rangers, so here's the interesting thing. You know what? I didn't even think about this so I was looking up some statistics earlier. So one thing I want to say, the Rangers are 0-13-1 when trailing after 2 periods. Like on the flip side, the Rangers are 14-1 when 14-1 when leading after 2. With Carol, and that one loss that they had when leading after 2 was to the Hurricanes in Carolina. As well, after the first period, the Rangers are, I believe, 10-2. And that would include, and so this is one of those 2 losses. I believe that's the stat. They're 10-2 and leading after 1. When trailing after one, I believe they're 1 in 10, maybe. It's very, very drastic. Now, look. Obviously, when you lead, there's a better chance you're going to win. When you trail, better chance you lose. But those are really, really, really drastic numbers. And my point is, and the fact the Rangers had a lead after one, notwithstanding, it's more so like the after two periods. Like again, the Rangers have a lead. Give them credit. They more than not almost always find a way to win the game. But when they are down, it is over for the most part. Again, they have one overtime loss, 1 point, and that was the home opener against Utah. And things feel so, and at that point, you still felt, okay, this is a good team. Things are so much different. And that was an ugly game itself, but that's not even the point. But the Rangers, Tyson Joe's trips are Artemi Panarin at 11:05. Rangers don't score on that, like I said. Then in 1932, Adam Fox interferes at Marty Necas. Adam Fox, he's obviously by far the best Ranger defenseman on the team, but I want more from him. I just feel like Fox has not been as dynamic as we've seen in the past. He is what he is. He's not a fast skater. It's more, high IQ, patience, creativity at the blue line, things like that. Just doing the smart thing, right? Fox, obviously, he's a very talented, skilled player, but he doesn't wow you. But yet still, I just feel like there's something missing there with Adam Fox. But the Rangers do kill that off. But the Hurricanes were so much better than the Rangers in the second period. That was the difference in this game. And at 7:05, Brett Berard is called for delay of game. Flips one, into the crowd, and the Rangers kill it off. But unfortunately, Berard comes out of the box. It essentially was a power play without it actually counting against, which is good because the Rangers have a top penalty kill, so at least it doesn't go against that. But really, just a very easy goal in a lot of ways where Jacob Slavin finds himself with a ton of room, takes a shot. Unfortunately, Igor cannot hang on to it cleanly, so it drops behind him, and William Carrier is able to beat Braden Steiner to the loose puck. So Igor was, really good, kept the Rangers in it, but there's one there. I mean, it was a point-blank chance, but it was one that wasn't really clean on his part and kind of leaked behind him. And again, Carrier is able to clean up the mess to tie it up at 1. Then Alexi Lafreniere at 10:34, high sticks former Ranger Jack Roslovic, and he's bleeding, so it's a double minor. Lafreniere needs to do a lot better. He's really regressed a bit. And the player that we saw in the second half of last year, the player that we saw in the playoffs last year, the one that even really existed early in the season is not there now. And now that, the Rangers already signed him to a big contract, Capo Caco's been traded. So look, when Lafreniere is going well, I feel like he's, one of the favorites of the fans. And at least we saw what he is truly capable of, right? So there's something to be encouraged about there. However, I feel like, he's not as engaged. There's a lack of foot speed, defensive liabilities. I feel like, playing with Panarin is leading to bad habits for Lafreniere. It's not good, and that's a big penalty. And unfortunately, because of the nature of it being a double minor, Rangers killed off almost all 4 minutes, but with a couple seconds left, it's Jack Roslovic, who's had a really, really good season with Carolina, 14th goal of the year from Orlov and Kochetkov. So not a great change by the Rangers as they go off the ice. 3 of the 4 penalty killers go off the ice, and Orlov is able to find Roslovic. And I guess, Ruedel was beat on that one, so I guess this kind of maybe more solidifies my thought that maybe it'll be Jones for Ruedel. I could definitely see that for sure. And but also Igor tried to stop the pass, and it goes by both of them. So it was a nice setup. Orlov in some ways kind of made up for his mistake on the VZ goal, but it makes it 2-1 Carolina, and that's all that they would need. So there would be another late penalty in a period, this time on Carolina. Svechnikov cross-checks Mika's advantage. The best chances the Rangers got on that power play was with the 20 seconds left in that period. Once it came back to the third, nothing. Nothing at all. Carolina totally stifled them. And so it remained 2-1. There was a penalty of 4:25 where Brent Burns slashed Vincent Trocheck. As you already know, Rangers did not score on that. Then Trocheck, out of necessity, not a great play by Trocheck and Panarin, where they turned the puck over and Igor made a save, but then on the rebound, Trocheck hooked Eric Robinson at 7:47. But the Rangers, kill that one off and keep it at 2-1. But Really, just it's disappointing that and yes, there were some good saves by Kochetkov. It's not like they did nothing, but you need so much more. And it felt like range in certain Ranger teams in years past that there'd be that ability where, especially last season, where it's like in 2022 as well, but maybe even 2023, like where you always felt like they had a chance. This season, it's like when they're losing and it's the third period, I don't really have any confidence that they're going to come back. So Rangers pull the goalie, and I say this a lot. It's a little too soon. I understand Laviolette wanting the 6-on-5 chance, considering that they're not getting much going, but it always feels like it's a little bit sooner than you'd like it to be. And so the Hurricanes end up with an empty net goal at 18:18. So a little under 2 minutes to go. It's Aho, his 10th goal of the season from Svechnikov and Kochetkov. So I did not even realize that Kochetkov actually had 2 assists on the game, which is pretty crazy. But anyway, yeah, Carolina wins it 3-1. There would be another penalty that would occur after that empty net goal. Martinuk trips Adam Fox at 18:30, but so 6-on-4 chance, Rangers don't score. So yeah, this is what it is. I mean, the Rangers, again, they're not a very good team as presently constituted. It's unfortunate. It'd be great. Would love, yeah, if they could beat the Devils, that'd be nice. Going to the break and you can feel a little bit good about yourselves and kind of talk your way into, okay, well, 2-1 in the last 3, winning games at Dallas and against the Devils. But we'll see if that does happen. The goalie situation will be interesting. If there ever were a time to go back to back, this would be the time. And you know what? My hunch, even though it's a very quick turnaround with it being another afternoon game, I do think that they will go back to Igor. I think that they sense the importance of this game, and I think that Shesterkin will be in that versus the Devils. So, Rangers really need to win badly. If they do lose in regulation, it will be the first time they will have fallen below 500. So they'll try to avoid that. But yeah, Matt Rempe suspended 8 games. We won't see him for a bit. And yeah, I mean, the Rangers are definitely in trouble. They have not won 2 games in a row since November 17th, November 19th. That to me is really, really it's symbolic of the situation. They win a game, but even when they win, I say to myself, I don't really feel like, okay, this is going to lead to something. I'll say it when I think that, okay, like, all right, this is actually legitimate, but it just, even the wins to me aren't that impressive. So, yep, Rangers lose to the Carolina Hurricanes in a Sunday matinee game against the Carolina Hurricanes, then a Monday afternoon game before the holidays. It'll be the Rangers taking on the Devils, and the Devils embarrassed the Rangers early in the year in Madison Square Garden. We'll see if the Rangers can respond to that. They really haven't shown that ability this season, but we'll see if it changes as they will look to head into the holiday break on a high note after they lose to the Carolina Hurricanes at Madison Square Garden.